Hey guys, and welcome to our full review of Mario Party 6. So we've already done Mario Party 4 and 5, so if you want to go check this out, just go into the reviews place, you'll see them. And also, if you've been to or if you haven't been to the reviews before, then these are sort of more professional than our other videos. We have these in chapters, so if you want to skip certain parts, like maybe you don't care about the graphics or the sound or something, and you do care about like, oh, is it worth it, or how much is it, like that kind of stuff, then you can skip right to that kind of part. So without further ado, we're going to get started with the game company slash creator. The game company slash creator is Nintendo, of course. They're the main people that are behind it. I know there's like whatever the B corporation is for that. But
it's like Hudson or something.
Hudson or whatever. But yeah, like so. But Nintendo's the main company. And Nintendo is very consistent with how they make games. They stick to something that they know works and they keep going up until they realize that it needs change. Like for example, the 2D Mario games were kind of the same up till Wonder, and then obviously once Wonder happened, they're like, or before Wonder happened, they're like, oh, we need to change this up a little bit. In which case, Wonder happened. Paper Mario's kind of the same formulaic thing up until Origami King. So like they really kind of stick with things until it needs to be changed. The thing with Mario Party though is that it changes pretty much every time. So Mario Party 4 had the gimmick of like there was the lottery that was never a thing. That's kind of stopped being in every other game. 5 had like orbs. It had the whole idea of dreams and like that kind of stuff. So the things changed for Mario Party. And in Mario Party 6's case, it was sort of like
the
day and night cycle, but the setting I'm not too sure was anything special, but either way, that's what's good about that one. So they kind of changed it up every time, so theoretically speaking they changed it for the entire series. But Nintendo always consistent, pretty good company that they got going on over there. And yeah, not much to really say about them. So we're gonna move on to what is done well. Now, Mario Party 6, the day and night cycle, I think was a very clever idea. They'd actually technically done it before in Mario Party 3, I think, with the Horror Land one. But that was just like 2 days of night and 2 days of day. It wasn't exactly the same. And then in day, one of the mechanics I really liked and found interesting was at daytime, everything's sort of normal, quote unquote, and DK spaces are all around. Not all around, but they're there. And like things work accordingly, and then when night happens, everything's kind of inverted. And also Boo, if there's a location, if you're on a map with Boo, which isn't all the maps, he's not on EGAD's Garage, he's not on Clockwork Castle and that kind of thing. So he's on some maps, but the maps he's on, he'll come out, you can steal coins and star, which I love. And also, Bowser replaces DK spaces. So if Bowser spaces don't get added, he just fully replaces DK, which I think is a really cool idea. And so I like that mechanic of it, that the like sort of everything's inverted and like doesn't quite work. Cause like when, for example, one of the happening spaces on the treetop tower, whatever that one's called, the top happening space, like the guy will shoot out coins out of his tree and it'll go to random players. But at night he'll spit out like spinies and it'll take coins from random players. So it's like inverted, which I think is very clever. Because obviously day is the inverse of night and vice versa. So it's very cool. Love that mechanic. The character roster, I believe, in 6 was pretty big. They added Toadette. I know that one. They added Birdo. Birdo was another one they added, I think. Well, she was 8, but I don't think so. Maybe she wasn't in that one. Either way, but I know Toadette was a new one.
Oh wait, no, Birdo came in at 7.
Okay, but Toadette's a new one for 100%. I know that one.
There was.
Maybe there was all the characters the same then, but because I thought maybe they were the same. Yeah, maybe they were the same. But either way, you had the normal cast that was up there 5. DK is still not playable yet. Up until this point.
I didn't know if you could play him in 5.
You could play him as 5, yeah.
Oh.
So besides Toadette, I'm not really sure there's any new one because Koopa Kid's still there. So yeah, there's not really any new characters, but besides Toadette, of course. So the character roster is really, really big, and technically speaking, it doesn't matter who you play, so you can pick anyone, unless you're Zachary, then you have to pick a certain character that gets you lucky. Yeah, so the character roster is great. The boards are really good, well, except for maybe one, and I'll get into that later, but the Treetop Towers, like sort of your box standard board, really fun. You have the Fair Square, which I think is going to go down in history as one of the best boards in Mario Party. That one's just kind of fun because it's all about gambling, so it's all about luck-based. So you're playing a luck-based game on a luck-based board with a luck-based minigame, so like, it's gonna be great. But it's more so just fun because you have to strategically buy stars, because you can choose to buy 1 or 5 depending on how much money you have and depending on how much you want to buy. So there's a lot more strategy to that. In that game, you can also bet your stars and lose them all if you're bad at the game. So I find that pretty funny. And then you have Castaway Bay, you have E-Guy's Garage, which was before technically, and then you have Clockwork Castle, which is Clockwork Castle. I think it's a clever idea. I don't think it's an amazing board, but it's a pretty decent idea. And then with Clockwork Castle's idea is that Bowser and DK are walking around. So instead of having spaces, they're just fully walking around, and they are, like, if you run into them, Bowser will take a star, like, pretty crazy, and then DK will give a star. Well, you have to buy it. You have to buy it, but he'll give you a star. So...
And then there's Snowflake Lake.
Oh yeah, Snowflake Lake. How can I forget Snowflake Lake?
Wait, how did you forget that?
The lake Isabel, or the board Isabel won on, wasn't it? I think she won on, and also she got that incredible 0-0-0 on that one minigame. So
most BS luck in Mario Party history, right there.
yeah. So the minigames too. I don't have too much of a problem with the minigames. I think 6 has the most consistently good minigames. So that in 7, I would say, because 8 is when they started to get bad again.
Yeah,
So I think 6 and 7 had the most
they
they had the most consistently good one. There's only a couple that I'm like, oh great, this one again, which was probably the luck based one. But yeah, so like their selection of minigames in 6 was really good. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything. I mean, each board, like I said, had their own mechanics. So Snowflake's Lake mechanic was awesome. I liked the idea of going around as chain chomps. You gotta kill everybody. They kind of ruined it in 7, I believe, but in 6 they, I think, perfected it. And also I just like the snow idea, because I don't think there's really ever been a snowboard before.
Yeah, I don't think so.
So that was really cool aesthetically, and like the whole idea of you got to go on chain chomps, and the idea that you're locked out of the middle section, which is the safest, because the chain chomps can't go in the middle, that you're locked out of the middle unless you have paid the guy or you were already in there when the night started. That's awesome. I love that idea. I think it's very clever, because it balances out a little bit, and it kind of forces people to like battle each other. Like I already talked about fair square and how it has like the betting mechanic. E-God's Garage was all about happening spaces, really. It was all about teleporting around and unleashing heck fire on your teammates, because there's a event space that if you have enough money to do, you can place like you can place 5 random capsule spaces everywhere, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of chaos in there.
And then yeah, you had the teleporters. You had the coin exchange / orb exchange, which is pretty cool. It's pretty dangerous. That's sort of the it's pretty dangerous thing. You have like the other stuff. So yeah, all that board was kind of like a sort of more formulaic than the other ones are. But it was all about happening spaces, really. So yeah, that was pretty well done. I would also say that I don't know why I forgot about this, but what else is the other thing that's well done is the fact that essentially when you're playing the last 5 turns thing, it's pretty decent in this one. I think 5 has one of the best last 5 turns events, but I think in 6 it's not too bad either, because well, you have the plus 40 coins, which is sort of boring. You have the
typical 3 times.
That's times 3. Yeah. You have the plus 5 orb spaces. Which that can be actually kind of interesting because they're random. You don't know what they are.
Did 6 have the reds into Bowser's, or was that 5?
The red, well, that 5 definitely had that, but I think maybe 6 did too.
Yeah, that was insane.
It didn't have the 5-star space. Only 5 has that, which is absolutely insane. And then I think that there's only a couple on that one. So I think I might have just mentioned them all there. But either way, so I think half of them are kind of just boring. Like the times 3 is kind of boring, and the plus 40 coins, or whoever's in last is boring. But I like the red space turn to Bowser's, because I think that is a thing. I think that was a thing. Although I don't think you can get it on Clockwork Castle because there is no Bowser spaces. So it's probably a thing that's specific to that board. Because 7 also introduces that idea that the last 5 turns events, or which is technically the last 4 turns, is dependent on the board you're playing. So we'll get into that with Mario Party 7. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff done well. So moving on to what could be improved. I wasn't the biggest fan of Castaway Bay. I don't know what it was. Just like the whole idea that, you know, you get all the way there and
if it's good,
and luck decides
SOL.
Luck decides to slap you in the face and put Bowser there, even though DK was there formerly, and you lose an entire star like that. It's a low scoring board, honestly, because that's how they kind of made it. And I kind of like games that are higher scoring, like where you have like this person has 8 stars, this person has 9 stars, this person has 10. Like I love those types of boards. I don't like the boards where like, oh, this person has 0, this person has 0, this person has 1. It's like it's not really attention, is it?
Yeah, and you'd be lucky to get 2.
The only interesting thing about that board was the end part with the circle, because there was chance time in there, there was Bowser/DK, there's 2 happening spaces, there's something else to think. Either way, like, that was really the only interesting part about that board, honestly. And there was Boo in that map, I guess, technically speaking, but guess what? If nobody has any stars to steal, then he's kind of useless. So, and stealing coins in any game after 4 is useless, really, because you only get like 10 or so out of it. They bring it back in Superstars, which makes it better, but in terms of like the mainline series, it's kind of useless. Yeah, wasn't too fan of that. EGOT's Garage, I think it's a good idea. It just kind of fell flat. I didn't hate the board or anything, but I think it's definitely boring. Because like typically, like the aesthetic too of it is not. It's okay. The idea that the middle thing turns, I think it's every turn. It's pretty. Or no, I think it's every day and night cycle. No, I think it's every day and night cycle. But either way, it's interesting, but I think it just was kind of boring. I didn't really like, even after we played it on the tournament, and even after we played it, or no, yeah, we did a tournament, I think. But either way, after we did that and we did it casually and that kind of stuff, it still was kind of like, this board's just okay. So yeah, not too much going on there. In 6, there's a lot of other modes. So in 6, they added the microphone, which I think is the only, one of the only games that has microphone support, because that's obviously nobody liked it. And the microphone, let's just say it wasn't great. We never used it, but I've seen people use it and I've seen people try to play the game with it. It's not great. They bring it back in 7 for some reason. But in terms of 6, you have mic minigames, and they kind of just show up randomly when it's a 4v4, or like free for all or whatever. And essentially all the minigames there, like, so you have one where it's like you have to walk across the thing. We didn't have a mic, so we had the controller on. And essentially those minigames are either really rigged for the 1 or really rigged for the 3. There's no balancing. Those are the only minigames that I didn't like, because, for example, the walking to the end thing where you're on the sky block or whatever.
That is for the 1.
The 1, like, maybe the microphone, I can see that being difficult, but if you don't have access to a microphone or using the controller, the 1's gonna win every time, because there's literally nothing the people can do to stop them. So unless they all go to the end and then kind of camp the end and then maybe get something to do there, but even then the one player would still win. So yeah, that's super weighted. The punching the Goombas, I think, is the most weighted, because you have the most control over that one. But even then, that's typically weighted for the 3 there. The 1 has when we played it, the 1 did win a couple times, but then you have, I know there's more. You have the what else? You have the shooter one, where like the things where the one is in the giant mech thing, and you have to use commands to shoot the other 3 guys that are shooting you. And like that mech has so much health that there is no universe where like you win as the 3. So especially considering if you're rid of the computer kind of shoots off into the distance sometimes. So it's like, well, I guess I'll die now. So that minigame is also like super weighted.
Yeah, and then there's did that one have the fruit one, or was that 7?
That was the fruit one, yes. So the fruit one, that's weighted for the 3, because you can first, even if you have the mic, you would hear what they're saying, so you'd immediately go to orange or whatever. And then even with the controller, where you don't hear what they're saying, you see what they select. So you're also like, well, I guess I'm gonna go to orange now. So like, super weighted for the 3. The only time I could see this not working out is if you had a microphone and you just spitted like random garbage into it and see what happened. Because maybe maybe the mic would pick up something that would trick the other players. That's the only way I see you winning that minigame. As the 1 anyway. So yeah, very rarely, unless the computer killed the human players and then the computer was left, which they will typically die, then the 1 player could win. But if you have playing against 3 humans, they're not gonna lose. So and I want to say there's maybe a couple more, but either way, you get the point. They're all kind of weighted for one party or the other. So I think that could have been much improved. The story mode, there wasn't actually really a story mode. The whole story mode was like 3 boards, wasn't there? There's like solo cruise. I don't know if I call it story mode. I mean, maybe that was considered their story mode. But either way, there was like 3 boards, and they all increased in size and stuff like that. And you had to fight I think it was story mode, because you had to fight the Koopa kids. You had to fight the green kid, red kid, and blue kid. So I think that was like too short almost. And it's like stuff. Although they did do that in 6. You had to buy stuff, like you had to buy extra stuff. It wasn't that you had to beat story mode like you did in 5 to unlock certain things. So I think that was better, I guess. But in terms of the actual boards, I wish there was more. Like, they were such cool boards that kind of got underutilized there. Yeah, that's the majority of what can be improved, I think. Moving on to any problems or glitches. Besides the glitch with the microphone, don't think there was any, because obviously Nintendo's very prestigious about their games. They don't like making them come out and have bugs and stuff, because obviously how would you update it? Because back in the day it was just the GameCube. So yeah, there's not really anything besides the mic problems, because that was a problem. We're moving on to controls. Similar as all of them are parties. You have the A button to like select stuff. You have B button to go back. You have the stick to choose your direction and like that kind of stuff. Certain mini games you utilize certain buttons, so you're really using every button on the controller besides maybe the C button, or not the C button, sorry, the Z button, which I don't think is used. Besides for practice mode, that's how you activate practice mode. But besides that you don't really use that one too much. So yeah, you're using the triggers, you're using the A and B, X, Y, you're using everything. But they'll tell you, they give you outlines of what to do. So
yeah, even the C stick gets some love.
Yeah, with Tricky Tires, still hate that minigame. But moving on to graphics. So, graphics, a lot of people say that it was better than 6, or better than 5, and I do agree. I think it is a little bit better than 5, but at the same time, I don't think it was much better. I mean, it came out a little bit later, so obviously they had better graphic stuff to use, but I think graphically it was still great, don't get me wrong. I just think it's not too much better than 5, because I've heard people say, like, oh, it's light years better than 5, I'm like, it's not.
It's like slightly better.
It's slightly better. So yeah, I'm not really convinced on that one. Yeah, the graphics were pretty well done. They're obviously Nintendo, so you kind of know what to expect. But moving on to music/sound. Now, the music in this game was actually pretty well done, because you have like the menu theme is really well done. It's really catchy. You have the sound effects when you're going into the mini games, which is really cool. You have the sound effects when you win. So like all the sound effects are really well done as well. So like Nintendo's always been good about the music sound. Not really much to say on it, just because they do really a good job on it. Is it like top tier gaming music quality? No, I wouldn't say so, but it's definitely really good music for a Mario Party game. I still think 5 is better though in terms of music. But moving on to story and characters. So the story is that Sun and Moon, they don't like each other. They hate each other, actually. They're trying to decide who's cooler, and then Mario gets an idea. Let's have a Mario Party, because that solves all the world's problems. Oh, Mario, the world's on fire. Let's have a Mario Party.
Oh, hold on, Mario. There's social conflicts with Russia and the U.S. Hell, let's have a Mario Party. Get them all in.
So yeah, it's just it's kind of silly, but I think that's kind of the point. And Sun and Moon, because it's obviously comical, because once they're done arguing, they then co-host the boards together. So like obviously they're not like really mad at each other. And then once you eventually do all the story mode boards, basically, or not the story mode boards, you like buy the ending basically. You see that Sun and Moon, they get all the stars, like the Mario Party gets all the stars for them, and they're like, let's blow it up. So they let the stars leave, and DK and Bowser both surprised, because they like, DK's eating banana, stops, looks at it like, what? And then Bowser's like sulking around in his castle, and he has to come outside to see it. So like it's a very silly story, and Mario Party games aren't really known for the story, obviously. So although 5's story was pretty good, because it was like all about dreams. But yeah, so I think 6 was not as good as 5's, and also was more minimal, because you just had the 3 boards and the solo cruise, and then you had to buy the ending with stars. So whatever, I guess. In terms of characters, though, like I said, you have the normal cast that's been here, that's in the same 5. They've really kept every single character, because Boo and Koopa Kid are still there, which doesn't apply in 7, except for Boo, he's still in 7. But in terms of like the characters, you have like the new one, Toadette, like I said, and I want to say there was a new one maybe, but I think it's just because it was 4, then 3, then 4, then 3, right? But I don't know if that's true. So either way, you have like the main cast. You have Mario, Luigi, Peach, Daisy, and all those guys. So yeah, just a just a lot of characters. So, and like I said, they don't exactly matter. They start mattering at 7. If you want to get technical, they start mattering at 7. But in terms of, unless you're Zach, of course, then they matter all the time.
Yes.
But in terms of like normal people, it's not gonna matter. So in 6, you can still pick whoever you want. Yeah, moving on to replayability. Now, technically speaking, you can play this game to the end of time and sort of see new stuff happen. Like for example, we played the Mario Party games on the channel, and I've never ever seen 000 on that minigame before. Somehow Isabel did it. So, and we had played that game like I want to say 10 times before that. So like, doesn't matter how many times you play this game, you might still see new stuff. So I'm going to give this into the unlimited rating because it's not limited at, because the category is. The limited is like you're on your first playthrough, you're done, it's over. Like kind of like Last of Us, you're done, it's over. There's no really anything else. And then you have the middle section where it's like once you have your first playthrough, you've beaten the main story, but then there's like New Game Plus stuff after that, or something like that. So like I would give FNAF as an example because your first playthrough would be like all the way to night 6, and then you have the custom night after that. Or well, not sorry. Well, technically maybe, but you have like the custom night after that, and maybe a night 7 depending on the game you're playing. So. And then there's unlimited games like Minecraft where every time you play the game you might see something new. And so I'm going to put Mario Party 6. I hope I did that for 5 and stuff because that would still apply. So I'm going to put 6 in the unlimited category. Moving on to personal takes. So Mario Party 6 was, I think, the second Mario Party game that we ever had. Only after 5. And Mario Party 6 was definitely really fun. I would say it wasn't a perfect Mario Party by any means, but it was definitely a really good game, and I really liked it. So, but yeah, we'll move on to Zachary.
Yeah, I think Mario Party 6 was definitely one of the better ones, in my opinion. I really liked a lot of the minigames. Well, obviously there are some that I like that others may not like. Like, I personally like Tricky Tires. Does everyone like it? No. But, you know, all the minigames I think were really good, and I think they did take a step in the right direction by limiting the amount of button mashing minigames that there were in 5 and, like, decreasing it a bit.
Yeah, 33% of the, 36%, sorry, of the minigames in 5 were press a button.
Yeah.
Which includes button mashing.
Yeah, which is just a free win for anyone that is like Ethan and just a robot at doing that. So it's just a free win for that. But so they took it down, they toned it down, and so a lot of them are a lot more skill based, and there are quite a lot of like, just classics that came out of 6, like Lift Leapers, an absolute classic, best minigame. But either way, the boards I really liked. Snowflake Lake was really cool, even though I hated it. Fair Square was one of the best boards ever, in my opinion. And yeah, I just thought it was really good, in my opinion.
Yeah, I almost forgot to mention too that 6 is the last game that stops the same space duels, because in 8 you have to use the candy to duel, which technically stops in the same space, but I'm not counting that. 7 you have to land on a dual space, and then 9 and 10 nobody cares about. Super, whatever. I don't even think there was duels in Super, was there?
I don't think there was.
No, there weren't.
There weren't any duels.
I just realized there's no duels.
There's no duels in Super, and Super Stars did bring back same space duels. So yeah, it's one of the last games that does it. And I personally love same space duels because I think it's very clever. You like the last 5 turns, last 4 turns, whatever you want to call it. You land with somebody, you get the duel. So
yeah,
I think
the intensity's ramped up, so
right.
You're more inclined to do so. Right, made sense.
Yeah, and I think that should be in conjunction with dual spaces. I think 5 honestly did it perfectly because you have the dual space you can put down, and they have the last 5 turn events thing that made it so that if you landed on the same space as someone, you dueled them. I think 5 did it perfectly because 6 doesn't. I don't think there was a dual capsule because they changed it to orbs, dual orbs. So I don't think there was a dual orb, unless I'm wrong, but that could be. But either way, 6 is one of the last ones to stop the same space duels, which I honestly was a mechanic I loved that they for some reason got rid of.
Stupid.
It's also one of the last ones. Yeah, no, it's one of the last ones to do chance time as well.
Yeah, then it went on a hiatus.
It did. Right. And chance time also one of my favorite mechanics. It's all random BS anyway, so why not? So yeah, 6. My personal opinion is that I forgot to mention all that stuff, but like it's one of the last ones that did it, so I appreciate it for that. But we'll move on as well.
Yeah, I definitely thought that adding like a day and night cycle was very interesting, and them having like different mechanics and what they do with it. Like Bowser coming out at night and DK coming out in day. You not being able to go to some places at day, but being able to do different stuff at night. It was a very clever idea. There were a couple of mini games that I personally did not like, but like Ethan said, like the consistency of the good mini games in 6 was very well done. And I really did like most of the birds in 6. The only ones I just wasn't a fan of was what's it called? It was,
I don't know what you're referring to. It's Castaway Bay.
Yeah, Castaway Bay. Yeah, that one. I just don't like the mechanic of that one.
I think the mechanic was fine. I think they just executed it poorly. I think like
it could have been good.
It could have been great. I think the only thing that should change Bowser and DK should have been day and night. Like, I think that should have been the only thing. I don't think that they should have changed. I don't think those stupid happening spaces should change it. And also, the board should have been way longer. The board should have been way longer. Because it's kind of annoying to, like, you're going towards DK, and then some person outside of your control lands on a happening space, changes to Bowser, like, and you're on a one-way path, and so you're like, well, I guess I'm dead now. Yeah. I guess there goes my 1-star lead, because you have 1 star and nobody else has any. So like I don't like low scoring boards. So yeah, I would.
Oh cool, he has 2 stars.
Yeah, I like boards that have that intensity that it adds on to it. Like when when it's a close game where everyone has like similar stars. Like if someone has 9 and someone has 7, like it just adds that intensity, and I really enjoy it.
Well, I think that's what makes Snowflake Lake successful, is because you all start with 5, so there's 20 stars and there's 20 stars on the board by default. DK can add 1 still, but either way, the point is that like that's what makes it great, is because you all are even still, but you all have stars to begin with, so you're fighting to get more. And by the end, I believe in our series, what made it a win is because I bet her for a star. I had 10, she had 9, and obviously to bet a star, when you bet a star, you lose the star you currently have. So I had 9, she had 9, and essentially when she won, she got 10, and so she won everything. Don't quote me on that because I think it was somewhat different. Maybe the star counts were different, but either way, that was what ended up letting her win. So like that's what was interesting though, is that it was like a 1-star difference. We Hail Married it, or I Hail Married it rather, and it didn't work out. And I think that's awesome. But when it's like Castaway Bay, we're like, do I even want to duel you right now? Because like you have 1 star, they have like 10 coins because they just went to Bowser. It's like, well, it's just not a great board. I think the idea could have been great. They just didn't execute it well enough. Was that all you had?
Yeah.
All right. So moving on to, is it worth it? This game they do not make anymore. Mario Party 6, same with 4 and 5, they don't make it anymore. I got it on because Zach was actually terrible at putting stuff away, so we had a copy. No, we're talking about, we had a copy, and then like Zach would always put it like on the dusty table, and so like it always got scratched and dusty. So that was unrevivable. But when we started YouTube, I did end up finding Mario Party 6 at a decent price. I found it for 60, which is decent nowadays because they don't make them anymore. So people are selling them for 100, 200, what have you. So I found this dude that was selling it for 60. It was a pre-used copy, obviously, but it was very neat and stuff. So the price can range. I would say from 60 to 100 is probably the range you're going to be looking at. 200 was like one of the ones I'm like, who's falling for that? So I would say, unless you're specifically looking for Mario Party 6, I would say it is probably not. $60 is nowadays, that's a mainline AAA game right there, if not a little bit less. So unless you're specifically looking for Mario Party 6, whether it be to finish your collection, or if you just want to play with friends, whatever, unless you're specifically going after it, I would say it's not worth it because it's $60. So if you've never played Mario Party and you want to try Mario Party, I wouldn't recommend 6 to start out with personally. So I would probably say no. But like I was saying, if you're going after Mario Party 6, then I would say it is, because it's like you were going after it, and or maybe it's like the last one in your collection. You're like, oh, should I get this game? Is it terrible? And based on what I've said, I would say it's not terrible, and you should get it. So that's my reasoning there. We're moving on to the final rating. Out of 10. And I believe I gave 5 and 8, or did I give it a 9?
think
Probably.
it was an 8.
8 sounds probably right. I don't think I
It
would have
was
given
either
it
a
a 9.
7 or
It was,
8.
I
Unless
think it
I-
was like something like a 7.
Unless I don't think I would have given 5 and 7.
It's probably an 8 then.
I think it was like a high 8. Either way, I want to say it's an 8. Was what I gave to 5. I personally think there was things in 5 that I liked more in 6. Obviously, the three of us might disagree on this. Obviously, I'm okay with aim matching games, but obviously we also didn't choose them every chance we got. Like there's a battle in a game that has aim matching, and so but 5 also had more bonus modes. For example, the minigame mode had the car thing, which was awesome. I loved that. You had the minigame wars, which is like the game show looking thing. I loved that too. You had the decathlon, which is great. You had the dual boat where you get dropped into the ocean because you lost.
Yeah.
The extra stuff in 5 was a lot better than the
Like,
extra
yeah.
in
Yeah.
6.
Because if I specifically recall when we did the extra stuff in 6, I was just not having fun. I just wasn't really. Like the bingo was because here's the thing I was angry about the bingo thing too, is that in the bingo thing, if 2 people won a minigame, it was a luck-based spin wheel that decided who won. It's like, seriously, let us both put a thing up there.
Make
or whatever.
it a duel or something.
I want that would go on too long. I think it should be like, hey, give both people a chance to do it or whatever.
Yeah, that was pretty
So
dumb.
that was dumb. I
There's
didn't.
the log jumping one. You got really mad at that one.
The log jumping one.
It's like where you went across a bridge or something.
Oh, that one. No. That's I thought I won that one. So why would I get mad at that one? That was
because I was screwing you over.
I think that was the only one I won. Because after that, it started getting annoying.
Yeah,
Either way,
and then there was the dual mountain one. That one was fine.
that one was okay. That was like one of the only ones that was okay. But either way, like the bonus modes weren't great, and there wasn't a lot of them. So yeah, I would say 5 had much better bonus ones. So I'm honestly, if I did rate 5 and 8, which I'm hoping is correct, I'm gonna rate 6 and 7. I mean, it's like mid 7. I'd say it's mid 7. And also because it introduces the mic minigame. So like 6 out of the however many minigames in the game are trash. Because like I said, mic minigames, they're not fun. They're weighted specifically for the one party or the other, and so anytime you get them, it's like, oh great, here we go. Let's say Zach was the one and he got the fruit one. It's like Zach would be like, well, enjoy your 10 coins, guys, because like he
Yeah.
won't win.
Yeah, seriously.
So like that's how bad those are, and just purely because of that, purely because of the bad side modes, I have to give it lower than an 8 or lower than an 8. So that's my rating. But Zach,
Yeah, I was deciding between an 8 or 7 for this one. Let's really think about it. There's some things that are better about 6 than 5. There's some things that are worse in 6 than 5. Like, for example, I really do like the fact that they decreased the amount of button mashing because it makes it a bit more fair for everyone. For people that maybe aren't able to do it as well. And then there's just a freaking robot that can do it in an instant. Yeah, so I thought that was better, but at the same time, there's like half the amount of extra stuff and half the quality of the extra stuff. Like the extra stuff in 5, I think was the best out of any game. Like there was so much. You had like everything in the minigame mode, the super duel mode.
alright, super duper mode. Oh,
Yeah.
you didn't like that because I built like the best car in the game apparently because I could just spam rockets.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was unfair. But for normal people, that'd be cool. And then the bonus
Oh, yeah,
game that
Yeah,
makes literally
board
like
game.
like the best.
They need to actually make that into a game. I'm surprised they haven't yet.
Seriously,
Yeah,
get on
that's
it,
so
Nintendo.
fun.
But so all in all, I think I still think 5's better, but 6 is like really close to it. So I'm gonna have it a high 7. So if we were gonna do points, maybe like 7.8 or something. So
Alright, Isabel?
high 7.
Yeah, I'll probably also agree with giving it a 7, but mainly because of like how introducing the mic mini games, I really did not enjoy them because, like I said, there's no in between of who's gonna win. It's either gonna be the one player or the other 3 people who are like battling. Like there isn't a balance, and I personally do not like that. So even though I do think 5 is better, 6 is just like right under it. So I'll probably give it like around like a kind of high 7 is what I would say.
5 is also the only one that has 7 boards.
Oh,
That
yeah.
too. 6 has 6.
Yeah, 6 is 6.
7 has
6.
6.
8 has
8 has 6.
And then 9
9,
and
10, nobody
is Super
cares.
Duper.
Nobody cares about
Super
that.
has
Super had 4, which was insulting to me. And then Superstars
at
was 5, which was I was A-okay with because they brought back stuff. So like That was perfectly fine. But yeah, 5 was the only one that had like 7, which I'm like, oh heck
that
yeah.
was the most out of any game, I believe.
And granted, like Sweet Dream, kind of boring, but like there's still 7. So, but yeah, that's gonna do it for our final rating. Obviously, we went over time here, but it's a big game. Like a lot of the big games, like Life is Strange, I know went over 32 because just it's such a big game. It's kind of impossible to keep it in schedule there. But we hope this review helped you. Maybe if you're looking for Mario Party 6 or you wanted to find out if it's a trash game or not, then hope this helped. But we do custom measures for this, so thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys next time.